The scent of expensive perfume lingered in the air as Marcus froze, his hand still on the doorknob. Across the room, Eliza Blackwood, the 36-year-old billionaire CEO whose empire he cleaned at night, stood with her back to him, silk blouse halfway down her shoulders. Their eyes met in the reflection of her office window, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind them like scattered diamonds. Neither moved. Then, instead of screaming or calling security, she simply turned, held his gaze, and whispered 7 words that would alter the course of his broken life forever. If you're wondering what those 7 words were and how they transformed this struggling single father's world, stay with me until the end. This story might just change something in you too. If you find yourself moved by Marcus's journey, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel for more stories that remind us of the unexpected ways our lives can change in a single moment. Marcus Jenkins hadn't always been a night janitor. At 34, he'd once had dreams, big ones. A promising architect with a growing reputation, he'd been on track for partnership at one of New York's prestigious firms. He'd had a beautiful wife, Sophia, who taught kindergarten and laughed like summer rain. They'd had plans for a family, a brownstone, weekend trips to the Hamptons. The American dream, packaged neatly with a bow. Then came the accident. A rainy night. A truck driver who'd fallen asleep at the wheel. And suddenly, Marcus was a widower with a 3-month-old daughter named Lily who would never know her mother except through photographs and the stories he forced himself to tell through tears. The grief consumed him. Projects fell behind. Deadlines were missed. His work suffered until eventually, the firm had no choice but to let him go. His savings dwindled as he tried to find new work while caring for an infant. His architecture degree gathered dust as he took whatever jobs would pay the bills: delivery driver, warehouse worker, and finally, night janitor at Blackwood Tower, headquarters of Blackwood Innovations. The night shift suited him. His elderly neighbor, Mrs. Patel, watched Lily while he worked, and he could spend his days with his daughter. The pay was decent, the benefits included health insurance, and the solitude of empty offices gave him space to think, to grieve, to slowly piece himself back together for Lily's sake. For 2 years, this had been his life. Pushing a cleaning cart through silent corridors. Emptying trash bins filled with discarded ideas. Wiping down conference tables where billion-dollar deals were made. All while his own dreams collected dust like the surfaces he cleaned. He rarely saw anyone during his shifts. The executives of Blackwood Innovations kept normal hours, unlike their workaholic founder and CEO, Eliza Blackwood. Occasionally, he'd glimpse her from afar, always impeccably dressed, always intensely focused, always alone. The business magazines called her the Ice Queen of Tech, a self-made billionaire who had revolutionized sustainable energy technology but reportedly had the emotional warmth of the Arctic in winter. Marcus had never spoken to her. Their worlds existed in parallel, hers of boardrooms and private jets, his of mop buckets and missed rent payments. Until that night. It was nearly midnight when Marcus reached the executive floor. He'd started at the bottom of the building as usual, working his way up. Lily had been running a fever earlier, and he'd called Mrs. Patel 3 times already to check on her. The last call had been reassuring, the fever was down, and she was sleeping peacefully, but his mind was still with his daughter as he absent-mindedly pushed his cart down the hushed corridor. The executive offices were typically empty this late, which was why he didn't think to knock before pushing open the heavy door to the corner office, the CEO's domain. He'd cleaned it hundreds of times before, always vacant, always pristine as if barely used. Not tonight. The first thing he noticed was the light, a soft lamp rather than the harsh overheads. Then the music, something classical, playing softly from hidden speakers. Then the half-empty glass of amber liquid on the desk. And finally, Eliza Blackwood herself, standing before the floor-to-ceiling windows, her back to him, in the process of changing her blouse. Marcus's brain registered several things in rapid succession: the elegant curve of her spine, the black lace of her bra, the reflection of her face in the window glass as she noticed him, the absolute certainty that he was about to be fired, possibly arrested, and the devastating thought of what that would mean for Lily. "I'm so sorry," he blurted, already backing away. "I didn't know anyone was here. I'll come back later." "Wait." Her voice wasn't what he expected. Not cold or angry, but tired. Human. She turned, holding her blouse against her chest, and Marcus was struck by how different she looked up close. In person, without the filters of magazine covers or distant glimpses, Eliza Blackwood looked exhausted. There were shadows under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite conceal, and lines at the corners that spoke of stress rather than age. "You're the night janitor," she said. Not a question. "Yes, ma'am. Marcus Jenkins. I'm really sorry about this. I always clean this floor last because it's usually empty." She studied him with eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. "You have a daughter." The statement startled him. "How did you? Your phone background. I've seen you checking it. And there's a drawing taped to your cart. A child's drawing of what I assume is you." Marcus glanced back at his cart, where indeed, Lily's crayon masterpiece was proudly displayed, a stick figure with brown skin and a big smile, labeled "My Daddy" in wobbly letters. "Her name is Lily," he said, unsure why he was offering this information. "She's 2. Something flickered across Eliza's face, so quickly he almost missed it. Softness, perhaps. Or recognition. And her mother? Car accident. When Lily was 3 months old. Eliza nodded slowly, then turned back to the window. For a long moment, she said nothing, and Marcus stood awkwardly, wondering if he should leave. Then she spoke, still facing the window. "Do you know what today is, Mr. Jenkins?" "Thursday, ma'am." A small, humorless laugh escaped her. "It's the anniversary of Blackwood Innovations' IPO. 5 years ago today, I became a billionaire on paper. The business channels have been celebrating all day." She took a sip from the glass on her desk. "I came in here to change because I spilled coffee on myself during my 14th video interview. No one thought to ask why I was still at the office at midnight on what should be a day of celebration." Marcus didn't know what to say. This wasn't a conversation he'd ever imagined having. "Do you know what I was thinking when you walked in?" she continued, her voice quiet. "I was thinking about how empty this all feels. The money. The success. This building with my name on it. Empty." She turned to face him again, and in that moment, she didn't look like a billionaire CEO. She looked like someone drowning in plain sight. "I'm sorry," Marcus said, meaning it. "I should go." "You were an architect." Again, he was startled. "How did you?" "I make it my business to know who works for me, Mr. Jenkins. Even the night janitor. Especially when he has a master's degree from Cornell and was once featured in Architectural Digest's 30 Under 30 list." Marcus felt heat rise to his face. His past life seemed like a dream now, something that had happened to someone else. That was a long time ago. 3 years is not a long time. It is when everything changes. Eliza nodded slowly, then did something unexpected. She walked to her private bathroom, slipped inside for a moment, and emerged wearing a fresh blouse, simple white silk that probably cost more than Marcus's monthly rent. "I lost someone too," she said quietly, returning to stand before him. "My sister. Cancer. 8 years ago. She was the only family I had left." "I'm sorry," Marcus said, and meant it. "After she died, I threw myself into work. Built this company into what it is today. Told myself I was honoring her memory." Eliza's fingers traced the edge of her desk. "But you know what? She would hate what I've become." Rebecca loved life. People. Connection. She would look at me now and ask what the point of all this success is if I'm alone at midnight on a day I should be celebrating. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. He wasn't sure why this powerful woman was confiding in him, a night janitor who had accidentally walked in on her changing. But something in her eyes, a loneliness he recognized all too well, made him stay. "What would you do?" she asked suddenly. "If you could do anything? If money wasn't an issue?" The question caught him off guard. No one had asked him about his dreams in a very long time. "I'd design again," he admitted. "But not corporate buildings. After Sophia died, I started sketching ideas for community spaces. Affordable housing that doesn't feel like a compromise. Places that bring people together instead of isolating them." He stopped, embarrassed by his own passion. "Sorry. You didn't ask for my life story." "Actually, I did." Eliza's gaze was intense, evaluating. Then she seemed to make a decision. She stepped closer and lowered her voice as if sharing a secret. "I need someone who sees the world differently than I do," she whispered. "Someone who remembers what matters. Help me build something that matters, Marcus." Those were the 7 words that changed everything. Not a proposition or a come on as some might have expected, but an invitation to reclaim his purpose, and help her find hers. The next morning, Marcus received a call from Eliza Blackwood's personal assistant, requesting his presence in her office at 9 a.m. He arranged for Mrs. Patel to watch Lily a little longer, changed into the only decent shirt he still owned, and arrived feeling like an imposter. He half expected last night to have been forgotten, a momentary vulnerability from a woman under stress, nothing more. Instead, he found Eliza clear-eyed and focused, with a proposal that took his breath away. "Blackwood Foundation for Community Development," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "A new initiative I'm launching with a $500 million endowment. Its mission will be to revolutionize urban living spaces for working families and build communities that support single parents and children who have experienced loss." Marcus stared at the folder, then at her. "And you want me to design it? Run it? Be the creative director and the public face? Your background in architecture combined with your personal experience makes you uniquely qualified." She leaned forward. "I'm offering you a chance to make the dreams you told me about last night a reality, on a scale you couldn't achieve alone." "Why me?" he asked, still disbelieving. "You don't even know me." Eliza's expression softened slightly. "Sometimes we recognize in others what we need most ourselves. I've lost my way, Marcus. Built an empire but forgotten why. When I saw that drawing on your cart, your daughter's love for you so evident in those crayon lines, I realized what's been missing. Purpose beyond profit. Connection. Heart." She named a salary that made Marcus's ears ring, along with benefits that included flexible hours to be with Lily and a college fund for his daughter that would ensure her future education. "This isn't charity," Eliza said firmly, seeming to read his thoughts. "This is business. Smart business. The world is changing, and companies that don't address real human needs won't survive. I need someone who understands those needs intimately. Someone who hasn't forgotten what matters." Marcus looked down at his hands, callous now from mops and cleaning solutions rather than drafting tools. He thought of Lily, of the life he wanted to give her, of the example he wanted to set. He thought of Sophia, and what she would say if she could see this moment. "When do I start?" he asked. Eliza Blackwood, the ice queen of tech, smiled. A real smile that transformed her face and hinted at the woman she might have been before grief and ambition hardened her. "You already have. The first year was the hardest." Marcus had to relearn skills that had grown rusty, while simultaneously learning the corporate world of Blackwood innovations. Eliza had to learn to trust, to delegate, to see her wealth as a tool for change rather than a measure of worth. They argued. They compromised. They challenged each other's assumptions and preconceptions. The first Blackwood Community Center broke ground in the Bronx, in the neighborhood where Marcus had grown up. It included affordable apartments designed with single parents in mind, a daycare center, job training facilities, and green spaces that brought nature into the urban landscape. Marcus insisted on beauty as well as function, believing that dignity came from spaces that inspired as well as sheltered. Eliza insisted on sustainability and technology that would make residents' lives easier, smart home features that were typically reserved for luxury buildings, energy systems that would keep costs low for residents. Together, they created something neither could have envisioned alone. As they worked side by side, something unexpected happened. The billionaire and the former janitor became friends. Genuine friends who respected each other's strengths and forgave each other's weaknesses. Eliza met Lily and was enchanted by the little girl's curiosity and resilience. She started joining them for Sunday brunches, awkward at first but gradually relaxing into the simple pleasure of pancakes and cartoons. Marcus saw beneath Eliza's carefully constructed public persona to the woman who had sacrificed personal connections for professional success and was only now realizing the cost. He introduced her to his small circle of friends, people who had no interest in her wealth or status, and watched as she slowly, tentatively, learned to trust. 2 years after that fateful night, the first families moved into the Blackwood Jenkins Community Center. Eliza had insisted on adding his name, despite his protests. Marcus stood beside Eliza at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Lily perched on his shoulders, clapping her little hands. A single mother with 2 children received the first key. As cameras flashed, she hugged Marcus impulsively, tears streaming down her face. "You've given us a home," she said. "Not just an apartment, a real home." Later, at the reception, Marcus found Eliza standing alone, watching the families explore their new community center. "Thank you," he said simply. She shook her head. "I should be thanking you. Do you know what the board said when I proposed this initiative? That it was a waste of resources. That it wouldn't generate sufficient ROI." She smiled. "The publicity alone has increased our stock price by 12%. Turns out doing good is good business." "That's not why you did it, though," Marcus said. "No." She looked at him, really looked at him, in that way she had that made him feel completely seen. "I did it because that night, when you walked into my office, I realized I had everything and nothing at the same time. You showed me another way." The moment stretched between them, full of unspoken possibilities. Then Lily came running up, breaking the tension. "Daddy! Liza! Come see the playground. It has a rocket ship slide." Eliza laughed, a sound that had once been rare but was becoming more common, and allowed herself to be pulled along by the little girl's hand. Marcus watched them go, this unlikely pair, his daughter and the billionaire who had changed their lives. He thought about how a single moment, a chance encounter, had altered everything. How walking through the wrong door at the right time had led him here. 3 years after that night in her office, Marcus and Eliza stood on the balcony of her penthouse apartment, overlooking the city they were gradually transforming together. The Blackwood Foundation had expanded to 3 cities, with plans for 10 more. Marcus had assembled a team of architects and urban planners who shared his vision. Eliza had redirected a significant portion of her company's resources toward sustainable community development. And somewhere along the way, their professional partnership had evolved into something more personal. "I never thought I'd find this," Eliza said quietly, her hand finding his on the railing. "After Rebecca died, I convinced myself that success was enough. That I didn't need connection." "I know," Marcus said. "After Sophia, I thought that part of my life was over. That Lily would be enough." "She is extraordinary," Eliza smiled, thinking of the 5-year-old who now called her Liza Mom and insisted on business meetings with her stuffed animals. "She is," Marcus agreed. "And she adores you." He turned to face Eliza fully. "We both do." The woman Forbes had once called the Ice Queen of Tech blushed like a teenager. 3 years ago, such vulnerability would have been unthinkable. Now, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. I was